everybody, happy Friday and welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Sinead DeVries, and this is the daily show where we bring you the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us this morning is Perri Nemiroff.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here as always. Happy Friday to all of you. We have a great lineup today. We are talking about Wonder Woman's Oscar chances. We're talking about Toronto International Film Festival movies, which makes me so happy. Also, today is Thad Williams' birthday. Woo! He is behind-the-scenes extraordinaire here at Collider. You might know him from Schmodown. Go tweet at him a good, happy birthday, because he deserves it. Sinead, who else is joining me today?
Also here is Clarke Wolfe.
Oh, hello, everyone. So nice to see you. Happy Friday indeed.
And John Rocha.
What's going on, everybody? Let's talk some movies. I'm so excited. It's Friday. I've been here since last week, so let's get it on. I'm excited.
And Mr. David Griffin.
Last again. Happy to be here, folks. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's only because you're the last seat at the table. It's nothing
okay.
personal. I just go right around.
I told him, I said,
Sinead.
you see the theater, it goes, and is the bigger star, and David Griffin.
I did it like in a sing-song voice, didn't I?
I appreciate
That always makes it better. All right, let's roll into our first main story of the day. Sinead, what do we got?
Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Just keep talking. My computer froze.
So you know what we're talking about. I think we're going to talk about the Wonder Woman Oscar campaign, that they're reporting that they're doing a groundbreaking campaign. And the story for that is, with $781 million in global box office receipts and counting, Wonder Woman has broken the record as the highest-grossing movie ever directed by a woman. Now, according to Variety, Warner Brothers is hoping to break a lot more records. The trade reports that WB has internally discussed launching a groundbreaking award season campaign for Wonder Woman in the hopes of making it the first comic book film ever nominated for Best Picture. The studio also has plans to push Patty Jenkins in for Best Director, a feat no other director has achieved, which is a Best Director nod for a comic book movie. WB has declined to comment on Variety's story. Perri, what do you think about an Oscar campaign for Wonder Woman? So I'm looking at this story two ways, because one is just my personal opinion. Does Wonder Woman deserve an Oscar? And I really liked the movie. I actually think the first half of the movie is exceptional, but then, you know, I started to fall off a little bit. So I don't really think that Wonder Woman is deserving of a Best Picture nod, because right off the top of my head, I could think of other things that I think deserve that honor a lot more. And especially discussing this story the day after having seen Detroit. When I look at a movie like Detroit and then I think about Wonder Woman being in that group as well, you know, it's great, and I hope that people can celebrate it. And I'm happy that they're doing an awards campaign for it, because awards campaigns only means that movie will get in front of more eyes. People will continue to talk about Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins' achievements. So that is a good thing. Me personally, I don't think it should be in the race, but I'm happy that the movie is going to get more recognition, because it's a lot of fun and it's a game changer in so many different ways. D. Griff, I'm going to go to you first. What do you think about this?
I'm not prepared. No, I think it's a good thing. But I mean, remember when the Academy Awards first expanded to 9 or 10 films? I mean, it was for Avatar. It was for District 9. I mean, got nominated, which is crazy. I mean, it's like a small budget sci-fi film that was incredible. So I think for sure Wonder Woman could get nominated, but I haven't seen enough here. I haven't seen Detroit. I heard that's fantastic. And we're not even in Oscar season yet. We're not in October, November, those big Oscar movies that come out. But there's some movies that come out that I think should be in the Oscar race and aren't. Like, remember Silence? No one saw that. No one really talked about it, but I thought that was an excellent film by Martin Scorsese. Maybe it came out too late. It came out kind of towards the end of the voting there. But I think Wonder Woman deserves a spot. I mean, if District 9, if Avatar, if those movies can make it in there, I think that it definitely deserves an Oscar nomination.
What about you, Rocha? Can you gauge whether or not right now, at this point in the year, if Wonder Woman deserves a spot?
Well, I've seen Wonder Woman 3 times in the theaters, so I love it. I absolutely love the movie. But this is a fascinating discussion when you look at what happened with The Dark Knight, because to me, The Dark Knight transcends the genre that it's in. I don't know necessarily that Wonder Woman does that. But that being said, the question is, what do I think about the Oscar campaign? I'm 1,000% for it. I think Warner Brothers should do this, push their brand. It pushes the DCEU even more out into the collective consciousness. And I think it's successful in this way, in that people are talking about it, right? They're going to re-release it again in the theaters. I think that's a positive as well. But this is an interesting thing, because when you look at Nolan's never been nominated as a director. I just found that's fascinating to me. Patty Jenkins, certainly, I think you can absolutely make a claim more for Patty Jenkins to be nominated for director than you can for the actual film to be nominated Best Picture. And we've seen seen that happen before with Ang Lee and Brokeback Mountain. So that does happen. I think Patty Jenkins did a fantastic job with this movie. But this also, for me, further reinforces what a debacle kind of Batman vs. Superman was. Because if they really loved this Batman vs. Superman as much as they love Wonder Woman, they would have been pushing for Oscars for that for Best Picture as well, and they didn't. So now that you know, Warner Brothers understood that they didn't quite step up to the plate with the stuff that they did before. Now that they have with something like Wonder Woman, they want to push it. So to me, I'm absolutely all for them trying to get it nominated. And I think David's right. We haven't seen what's coming down the pike in the fall. Until we do, I don't think we can make an assessment whether it should or should not be nominated. At this point, I think it should be in contention, certainly, but I don't know if it should be nominated just yet.
Clarke, I saw you nodding when he mentioned the Patty Jenkins possibility of getting a Best Director nod. Do you think that could happen?
Yeah, I do. And I think that this is awesome for WB to be showing confidence. Like, for instance, I don't understand why Marvel didn't maybe do a campaign for Winter Soldier. You know, if you have these movies that are critically acclaimed, they're well acted, and they are box office successes, and you're confident in what you're putting out, why not go for it? I mean, I understand that it's about, you know, it's about money. These campaigns are very expensive. And WB has an advantage here because Patty Jenkins already has an Oscar movie to her name. So in a way, we all know that the Oscars are a political thing. Unfortunately, I don't always believe that the thing that, or the movie that is the best, or the director that is the best, or the actor that is the best necessarily wins. However, the Oscars do like Oscar people, and so Patty Jenkins is one of them. But I want to say on the topic of Best Picture, I think absolutely Wonder Woman should be in contention for Best Picture. The Academy has 10 opportunities to recognize a film. Why not this one? I mean, why not? I think it's great, and people think it's great. And this is the other thing that the Academy has a problem with, that we've been seeing this course correction over the last couple of years, trying to skew younger, or trying to not be so much about prestige dramas, and what about the movies that audiences actually respond to and go to and see and love. So this could be, I mean, Wonder Woman has won rave reviews across the board. This could be an opportunity for the Academy to sort of bridge that gap. So I think if they were going to go for any superhero movie, this is a pretty safe bet.
All right. Well, we're going to see what happens with this soon enough, especially now that all the film festivals are coming out. In the coming months, we're going to be able to get a much better sense of what really is going to be in contention come award season. But for now, we're moving on to lead story number 2. Sinead, you up and running over there?
Yes, thank you. The latest rumors in the DCEU have spread like wildfire, and even David Ayer is not immune. Just as a report surfaced that the Suicide Squad director was not involved in the recently announced Gotham City Sirens, via Slash Film, Ayer's representatives confirmed that he is still attached to the movie, with the script still being written. The director also personally took to Twitter to post a clear reaffirmation of his involvement by posting a picture of Harley Quinn a la The Shining with a comic sketch of the character crashing through a door. There is still no release date set for Gotham City Sirens. Rocha, what are your thoughts on the rumors about Ayer's Gotham City Sirens?
This is an interesting one because I'm a huge David Ayer fan. I will die on the hill for Fury and Sabotage, which is the best post-Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger film that he's done. And I thought Fury was one of these unrecognized great films about World War II, like kind of like what you mentioned with Silence, David. Like, not a lot of people gave Fury a lot of love, and it's a fantastic film that holds up to multiple rewatchings. And so, and of course, what he produced, Training Day, and of course, End of Watch. Some of the best work I've ever seen Michael Pena do, of course, and also Jake Gyllenhaal. So I like David Ayer's sensibilities. I like that he's gritty, he's tough, he's dirty, he's nasty. He gets into the underbelly of society and human relationships in his movies. He gets darker. And so I would love to see, as we've seen in the more adult-oriented approaches to the Batman universe, to see a Poison Ivy and a Harley Quinn and a Catwoman with a more adult approach. I'd be all for it. I think David Ayer is the person to bring that out, and that tweet he posted is a perfect representation of his mentality about these kinds of things. The Shining, a very scary Harley Quinn ripping through the door, all of that is the approach that he would have. And I don't think he's the reason that Suicide Squad didn't succeed. I would love to see David Ayer's original cut. And I don't want to trust the WB execs that were putting out Batman vs. Superman, putting out that Suicide Squad, and to a lesser degree Man of Steel, to tell me that David Ayer didn't do a nice job or good job with the movie, with his original cut of Suicide Squad. So for me, if they're going to move him out, it bothers me a little bit because I think his is a voice that needs to be in the superhero landscape, fully realized without being edited and messed with, and executives coming in and kind of bastardizing what he was trying to do with his version of Suicide Squad. So this makes me uncomfortable, and it feels like they're both, it feels like a bickering couple. Like I'm going to post this. Well, what about this? Well, we're not going to mention your film. And so to me, it's a little uncomfortable. I just like to be a little more clarity from Warner Brothers on this.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It almost doesn't feel fair to him. And he, you know, he's a successful director. He is Bright coming out, which I know was received very well with what they brought to Comic-Con. But it almost seems like this type of scenario isn't fair to a filmmaker when they are not in control from the studio perspective in terms of what they can announce and when. And it's like, just because Gotham City Sirens wasn't mentioned at Comic-Con or in that lineup of DCEU films, all of a sudden we have all these outlets saying like, oh, that means he's out of it. That means it's not happening. That means, you know, we're going to find sources who say otherwise. And, you know, after everything he went through with Suicide Squad, I almost wish we would just like lay off for a little, let that movie simmer and develop as needed. And it just seems like these things came out of unjustified rumors. You know, I can't go as far to say I know what the original sources told them, if they really do have legit sources within the studio. But from my perspective, having seen what he said at Comic-Con and how it was skewed, because it wasn't just a matter of Gotham City Sirens not being mentioned at that panel, it was also what he said at the Bright panel. And I'm not entirely convinced that that statement he said about BS standard issue studio PG-13 movies, I'm not entirely convinced that that was directed at Suicide Squad. I get the impression he is just a filmmaker that wants to do his thing no matter what. So I think we've all gotten, not we all, or I don't want to generalize, but I think that some folks out there have gotten a little out of control with digging into every little word and, you know, placing unwarranted expectations on certain movies and you know, churning the rumor mill a little faster than it should be. Clarke, what is your take on this?
I think I don't want to see Ayer on this movie. I didn't like Suicide Squad, and contrary to most people, I actually thought Harley Quinn was. I did not like Margot Robbie's performance, and you know, whether or not, now I will concede that when you are working in the big studio machine, especially as we've seen in the DCEU. There is a lot of studio interference, and I think you guys are right. Suicide Squad is probably an example of studio interference. However, I do not need David Ayer on this movie in particular. Now, if he wanted to move on to a different project within the DCEU, great. But as far as the Sirens go, I mean, honestly, you know, and this really counters like everything that I normally say, but I'm really glad that in retrospect, Wonder Woman was directed by Patty Jenkins. Patty Jenkins was the right person for the job, right? Regardless of her gender, regardless of any of that. That being said, I want the right person for the job on Sirens, and I want someone who relates to these women. I want somebody who understands these women, who understands their anger and understands everything that brought them to who they are when we see them in this movie. And as of now, I don't necessarily think Ayer is the right person for the job.
How are you feeling about that, David? Do you think that maybe that is the case, but also maybe he didn't get to do something with Harley Quinn on Suicide Squad that he wants to now explore on Gotham City Sirens?
Well, that's a good point. I never thought about that, what Clarke just said. I guess I kind of had to take a second to think because that's a good point. David Ayer is a fantastic director, but they are dude movies. I mean, they're about men for the most part. You know, End of Watch, Fury, about men being together and making things happen, whether it's in war or being a police officer. So, yeah, maybe he doesn't, like, some guys are fantastic at directing women. Joss Whedon is excellent at that. I even think, I know this is going to be a little controversial to say, but I think Zack Snyder, he at 300. I mean, he gets some good performances from the women in those films. I mean, you look at 300: Rise of the Empire there in the second one. I mean, Eva Green was fantastic. He co-wrote that script. He's not always perfect at execution, but I think he has a vision for that. I don't know if David Ayer has that, so maybe a different director. Could be a guy, could be a girl. Like Clarke said, if they're right for it, that's perfect. Second of all, I would not want to be in charge of one of these major motion pictures. I mean, when you watch Rogue One's solid, but you can still see you're watching two different movies. Yeah. You're watching this. The same thing. I always go back to Alien 3 with David Fincher. You can watch a documentary on Alien 3 with David Fincher, and his head is just in his hands the whole time because his producer is just following him around, nagging him. He leaves before post-production begins, and now he's David Fincher, you know, Academy Award nominee, all that kind of stuff. But it's got to be exhausting trying to make a movie like this because there's so many chefs in the kitchen. You just can't get anything done. Yeah. I wouldn't want to be, if I were David Ayer, I'd be like, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go back and make my $30 to $40 million movies.
I know it's this interesting point you bring up, Clarke. I hadn't even thought about that. Like, what Fincher might be an interesting choice if you're going to go male, because he's done that with Panic Room. He did that with Alien 3.
Gone Girl.
Gone Girl, right? He knew how to explore the.
But would Fincher want to go to?
But
would he do that?
Is there a female director that you like?
It doesn't have to be a female director.
So
what I'm
saying
saying is the right person for the job. I love that you bring up Joss Whedon. I want to see Joss Whedon's Batgirl movie.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I want to see that. And I'm just saying that up until this point, the way that I saw Harley Quinn portrayed and handled, whatever. I know most people liked Margot Robbie in that role, and that's fine, but it didn't work for me. But regardless, I just don't think, again, that David Ayer specifically is the right person for this movie. But that doesn't necessarily mean that another man or a woman or whomever is not the right person for the job. But I want the right person for the job to tell that story.
Well, hopefully we're going to hear some new updates on Gotham City Sirens in the very near future. And when we do get new updates, you're going to hear about them right here on Movie Talk. But for now, we're going to move on to buy or sell, the portion of the show when we get to talk about a topic and say whether we buy or sell it. Sinead, what's first on the list today?
THR reports that Bad Hombre, the genre production banner from Good Universe and Don't Breathe's Fede Alvarez, has announced its first project, an untitled techno thriller written by the guest Simon Barrett. Details about the movie remain under wraps, but what we do know is that Hobo with the Shotgun director Jason Eisner will helm the movie, with Alvarez producing. Barrett is known for writing the horror hits You're Next and A Horrible Way to Die, and most recently worked with Adam Wingard on the sequel to Blair Witch. No release date has been set at this time. Clarke, do you buy or sell Simon Barrett's untitled techno thriller directed by Jason Eisner?
Yeah, I definitely buy it. Basically, I am so on board with Bad Hombre. I love what Fede and his partner are doing, and I love their sensibility. So that's the thing, is I think that if you look at somebody like Adam Wingard or Simon Barrett, who has worked a lot with Adam Wingard, they have a very off, dark, weird sense of humor that is not for everyone, admittedly. But I think that Simon Barrett combined with the guys at Bad Hombre is a great combination. And when you throw in Eisner, who also has a very weird, dark sense of humor, I think it's a great combination. I also think that, so with this techno thriller thing, I think techno thrillers are very hard to do without seeming a little cheesy. But if you look at something like The Guest, I think you could see where you might be able to connect some dots. And even though in The Guest they didn't necessarily go down the path of David's origins or who he is or where he came from, I think you could see an idea percolating in there. And so Simon is a very unique voice, and I've really enjoyed a lot of the things that he has written, and so I definitely buy it.
Yeah, I am with you on that. When I first saw Simon and Fede's name in the same headline, I just got the biggest grin on my face. They are some of the most talented, creative people in the horror genre right now. And the same goes for Jason Eisner. And it's been too long since I've seen a Jason Eisner directed film. I had a lot of fun with Hobo with a Shotgun, and I don't really know what to think about techno thriller because I think it can go in many different directions, and we don't know anything about this story, so it's hard to say, oh, I'm really going to like that idea they're running with. But when you're putting these three people together who have all made things that are stand out for their own different reasons, the idea of seeing those three things come together and forming something that is so drastically different and new, oh my God, I think that the possibilities are really endless with something like this. And with all three of them, I just want more content from them. So the fact that they're all going to do it together, I think is so it's got so much potential. Any horror fan should be excited about the potential in this project. David, what do you think about it?
I really don't know anything about this kind of a project here, but I do trust Simon Barrett, so I'm going to buy him. Dan Stevens is one of my favorite actors. I'm a big Anglophile, so I've been watching Downton Abbey. Dan Stevens,
drink, everybody drink.
Spoiler alert.
He's an Anglophile.
Spoiler in movie talk. Can we do that in movie talk?
He's an Anglophile.
Do we have that here? All right, just like TV talk. Dan Stevens left Downton Abbey to do The Guest. He took a very big gamble with that, and I was like, why did he leave to do this small little movie? And I watched it, I'm like, this is crazy, and it's good, it's fantastic. And now he's Beauty and the Beast, he's on Legion. I mean, I hope they cast Dan Stevens in maybe one of the roles for this movie. So I buy Simon Barrett because he wrote a fantastic screenplay for The Guest. So I buy this.
Rocha, what do you think?
Yeah, there's so much to buy this. What David said, too. I took a chance on The Guest one afternoon with my friend Shannon. We go see films all the time. And this one it blew my mind. It was such a great evocative of the 80s type of like The Hitcher, those kinds of films that you grew up enjoying when you would rent them from the VHS and take them home and watch it with your friends. So I was excited to see this. Fede Alvarez's Don't Breathe is one of the most fantastic films I've ever seen that scares the crap out of me. But what's important to me, and I think this is interesting, is thriller. It's not horror necessarily. It says thriller. So this gets me super excited. And Hobo with a Shotgun, that's a fun time if you get a chance to watch it. I think it's still on Netflix. It's worth watching. So everybody involved in this situation, I absolutely have loved and enjoyed their work. So I definitely buy this. I want to see what comes out of this. And you know, when they say techno, they mean all kinds of things like computers, spy, military weapons. So anything could happen here. So there's many different roads we can go, but I'm super excited to see what they all come up with and can't wait for the first trailer.
Yeah.
So,
So while we wait to hear more about this, your homework: Hobo with a Shotgun, The Guest, Don't Breathe. You could explore their filmography so much further than that, but at least start there so you can get as hyped as we are.
Hobo with a Shotgun and The Guest is probably the best
my
double
God.
feature ever. Do that immediately, like right now.
I will second that. I actually might do that this weekend. But for now, Sinead, what is our next buy or sell topic?
Sony Pictures has debuted a new international trailer for Flatliners, the new movie based on Joel Schumacher's 1990 cult hit that starred Kiefer Sutherland, Kevin Bacon, and Julia Roberts. The movie stars Ellen Page, Diego Luna, Nina Dobrev, James Norton, and Kiersey Clemens as medical students hoping to gain insight into the mystery of what happens after death. The movie is helmed by Niels Arden Oplev, best known for directing the original Swedish version of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, with a screenplay from source code writer Ben Ripley. And it is set to hit theaters on September 29th. David, do you buy or sell the new trailer for Flatliners?
I buy Flatliners. I sell this trailer. Watch the first trailer. It gives you a little more insight. So I know we're talking about just the trailer. So I'm going to sell this trailer, but I buy Flatliners and I buy the first trailer that came out for this. A little bit longer, you get a little more explanation. I'm really excited about the younger actors. These actors have been around for a while, but like Nina Dobrev. Obviously, she's done 7-8 years in The Vampire Diaries, but she has a lot of presence. She's gorgeous. Also, too, is another guy here. I love British stuff. So James Norton.
Oh my God!
Drink.
Everybody
Collider
drink.
TV Talk. He's in this great show called Grantchester, where he plays a vicar, a priest, and he solves crimes.
A vicar.
So it's like NCIS. He's a priest and he solves crimes. You know, I love my procedurals. Not really, but that's a good procedural. So this has a very good cast. It's young, but I mean, it seems silly. It's like going into space. Every time you go into space, something's trying to kill you. Every time you try to kill yourself and bring yourself back to life, bad things are going to happen. It's a dumb idea, but I want to see this movie. I want to see it.
David, preach.
All right, Rocha, are you a fan of the original Flatliners, and do you think it needs a sequel? So, well, I guess it could. It's like a sequel slash
Kiefer
remake.
Sutherland?
Yeah,
Reboot.
exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm old enough to have taken a date to the original Flatliners. So let me tell you, I liked that movie. That was a good movie. I enjoyed Kiefer Sutherland. That was when him and Julia Roberts got together. And it was a whole big drama.
In real life?
Yeah, they were.
Oh.
She left him at
dude.
the altar. She left him at the altar.
Oh, wait, that's like
That's in real life, son.
Bride.
But that was a movie.
No,
that's
it's
real.
Yeah, Runaway Bride. They used that story to create
We'll
Runaway
tell
Bride.
you about it later.
Oh,
We'll
sorry, okay,
tell you
sorry.
about
There's
it
a
later.
whole bunch of movies that
I
happened
love
before.
David's reaction to this decades later.
Wow, I'm a little behind.
Well, I agree with David for the most part. Nina Dobrev is an interesting actress. Sometimes I'm in, sometimes I'm out. I think she had a cheesy line in this trailer. So that whole 3 minutes, I want to go back in. I'm competitive. That was a bit cheesy. But like the other dude, the blonde guy, didn't win me over either. So there's some
James
things.
Norton?
Yeah, there's some things that I pull out of this trailer. But Ellen Page, massive fan, always on board with her. Love every film she does. I love her in every film she's in. She makes me go see films I wouldn't normally see because she's in them. And so, to me, if you're gonna put someone if you're gonna have someone's gonna be the anchor of your film, Ellen Page is a great choice. It almost feels like she's still in her interstellar place with this character. So she's exploring this whole idea of the mind and going back and forth and this kind of thing. And if what Clarke just mentioned, if Kiefer is involved in this, then this is a sequel. And so I'm confused why they don't go Flatliners : whatever they want to call it, but maybe they're trying to avoid being called a sequel necessarily. They want it to be like a twist at the end. But from what I saw in this trailer, I buy it. I didn't see the longer trailer, but that's okay. It's enough in here for me to be excited to see this get revisited in a way that's different than what I saw in the original.
Clarke, do you want to clarify the Kiefer Sutherland
No,
thing?
you clarify it.
Well, I don't think we know what his role
Yeah, we
is.
don't.
It was merely mentioned, I think, in the last trailer and in some stories that are out there. So, I mean, it would seem strange to me if he was part of the movie and he was not the same character.
Well, he's credited as Nelson, which is the same in IMDb from the original.
But
So
IMDb,
who knows if IMDb's telling the truth?
IMDb is a dangerous place. For all we know, his name popped up there, and just because he was in the first Flatliners as Nelson, they credit him that way. So I don't think anyone should get too carried away with what his role could be right now. But with this trailer, I'm going to buy the trailer, but I will say that the longer trailer is better. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend watching that. I never even saw that trailer when it dropped on the internet. I first saw it when I went to a theater, and it, you know, seeing that trailer on a big screen, it is very effective, and it felt to me like a Flatliners sequel, reboot, whatever we want to call it, and it felt like a little Final Destination vibe, and I really liked how it came together. I think Ellen Page, you're right, is the perfect anchor for something like this. You don't see it as much in this short international trailer, but you do really see it in the first one. I am a big fan of the original Flatliners, and so the other day, actually yesterday, because we prepped for this show yesterday, this trailer dropped, and I ran over to Mark Riley like a little child saying, oh my God, like we have to include this today. And he looks at me and he said, are you kidding me? I don't think he is a big fan of another Flatliners movie. And I was surprised that someone had such a strong reaction, because even though I do love Flatliners and I watch it every once in a while, it doesn't feel near and dear to the point of not being able to be remade or continued. And what I saw is kind of what I would think a modernized version of Flatliners would look like. I think this cast is great. And you bring up Nina Dobrev. I have not loved everything she's done, because I did watch a little too much of Vampire Diaries before I started to quit, and she started to bug me in that. But then I think about the Finer Girls, which I mentioned on Movie Talk before. I think she is the perfect supporting character in that. So if she fills a similar role here, I think I'm really going to like her in this movie. Clarke, what do you think about this?
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that any Joel Schumacher movie you can remake, including Lost Boys. I said it. That's right. Yeah.
Right.
I'm including all of them.
Okay. All right.
This movie is not precious to me. I've never seen it. Never seen it. I know what it is, certainly. But I think everybody on the panel really touched on the fact that Ellen Page is the thing that got my ears to go, oh, because I've known about this movie for a while. Honestly, when it showed up in the show notes, I was like, oh, that's still happening, you know. So I think that, but when you dig a little deeper and you see who's involved behind the scenes, the screenwriter, the director, I mean, those are all pretty interesting names, especially when you think about what could be considered kind of a quote fingers, you know, cheap horror remake. But Ellen, I think, adds some gravitas and weight to it, and I actually
She said it.
She said gravitas. You still have to drink.
It is a word that makes sense in my sentence.
Of course it does.
But so I think and I actually really liked this teaser. I liked it a lot. I definitely would go see it. So it's a buy for me.
Awesome. I think we have one more buy or sell on the list today. Sinead, what is it?
Paramount Pictures released the very first trailer for Suburbicon. Directed by George Clooney and written by the Coen brothers, the movie features an all-star cast and includes Matt Damon, Julianne Moore, Noah Jupe, and Oscar Isaac. The movie takes place in the late 1950s as Damon's character begins unraveling the secrets that lurk beneath his town's seemingly peaceful and perfect exterior. And the movie opens in theaters on October 27th. Perri, do you buy or sell the first trailer for Suburbicon?
I buy it. I like how unique this tone feels, how zany the whole thing feels, how it's like a warped version of Pleasantville. The only thing that makes me slightly nervous that even though I like the trailer, I might not like the full feature is I'm having a tough time kind of washing off Hail Caesar and what they did with that. But I mean, this one is a George Clooney directed movie, so it should feel different. I love the cast. I think it's a great premise, and it's got a whole bunch of film festivals coming up in the fall. So I think it would have to be of a certain quality, so I'm very curious to see how this turns out. But for now, I am buying the trailer. Clarke, what do you think?
I buy it as well, but I am going to counter your argument. Ooh. I really liked Hail Caesar.
Really?
I sure did. I really did. And so, but here's the thing with the Coen brothers, and again, this is a George Clooney directed movie, but this is based on an original script by the Coen brothers. You know, their wacky comedy either works for you or it doesn't. And that's kind of cool. I actually really like that Clooney, as a director, went, yeah, this is the one that I'm going to do next. And I think Clooney has a weird, wacky sense of humor himself. So I like that he's behind the camera for this. And honestly, I like Matt Damon when Matt Damon's being funny. Yeah. I think Matt Damon is funny, and you know, he's goofy, but I like him. So even though I'm going to be honest with you, I probably won't like this whole movie. I will probably be bored by it because this type of even though it's a complicated thing because I appreciate this type of humor and I appreciate the weirdness. Anytime A-listers get weird, I'm totally on board with that. So it's a buy for me, and I hope I like it.
That was interesting. I didn't see it going there that way, but I get it. Rocha, what do you think about this?
This is tough. Do we really need another film about how tough it is to be in white suburbia?
It's not easy out there,
I
Rocha.
guess it
It's
isn't.
tough out
I guess
there,
the
man.
struggle is real.
Doesn't it look like
It's
satire,
a little.
Yeah.
But I've seen this already multiple times. This kind of vibe, and it has strangely, it has a more of a Soderbergh vibe. If you look at that Lucky Charlie trailer, is that the right name of the one that he's coming out, the NASCAR one that he's got coming out? It feels kind of like this. So it's got a lot of influences in it, but influences I've already seen before. So for me, it kind of makes me go, And I'm
Logan Lucky?
Huh? Logan Lucky.
Oh,
That's
okay.
it. Yeah, Logan Lucky. It feels just like that kind of vibe. And I will counter a little bit of what Clarke said. I hated Hail Caesar so much, and I love the Coen brothers. I absolutely love. I will defend Intolerable Cruelty, which a lot of people don't like. I will defend The Lady Killers, which a lot of people don't like. I like those movies, but for some reason, Hail Caesar just didn't do it for me. And so I worry when they don't direct the things that they write. That worries me because not everyone can interpret their sensibilities, their unique brand of humor, as Clarke said, their unique brand of humor in the correct way. And so it worries me. But Clooney has never. I don't think he's ever let me down as a director. So
Leatherheads.
Oh, good point. Yes. All right. He has let me down once as a director, I will say. Although, there are a number of reasons why Leatherheads didn't work. But yeah, this Clarke is a great point. So, but he's batting higher than normal. So I will give it a chance because Good Night, Good Luck is still one of my and Ides of March are fantastic films. So I will give this a shot because what Clarke says when Damon does like the counselor or the consultant, whatever he was when he
Informant?
Informant. That's it. He's oh God, the Schmoedown's not today, is it? Jesus, I'm screwed.
Where's my belt? Where's my belt, y'all?
But like he's great in those kinds of films. So yes, it is showcasing. Plus Oscar Isaac. Hey, much love. God has loved to see him exploring and doing these kinds of things. So I will 51% buy the trailer, but 40. It can go either way at this point. I think Clarke's right. I think I won't like most of the film or some of the film either. So.
All right, David, which way are you leaning on this one?
Oh, I'm going to buy this. Yeah, this is really exciting. I love this. And I get the
No
white,
struggle at all.
No, I mean, I get the white suburbia thing, but I mean, those guys are from Minnesota. They grew up in small town Minnesota. I mean, that's their life. They didn't grow up in South. They can't.
Yeah, but they
can't
did Raising Arizona, and that was a full-on,
Yeah, but I think people write what they know, and I think this is what they know, and they're doing a satire or commentary on white suburbia because that's what they grew up in Minnesota. So I mean, I get that. So and they do it better than most.
But they make it seem as if the mafia is the bad guys here. You borrowed the money, you didn't pay it back. Why do you get to be the hero?
Well, we haven't seen
We haven't
the
seen
movie
it yet.
yet.
That's what the trailer tells me. That's what the trailer tells me.
Because
That's what
Damon
the
looks like he's being pretty vicious in that movie. So he looks like he's turning into the villain.
Yeah, I hope so.
Oh, we're going to have to wait and see.
I'm definitely buying this, yeah.
All right, so that's it. That's the end of buy or sell. Don't spit your water all over your laptop now. I want to remind you guys that at the end of the show, we're going to save some time to take your live Twitter questions. So tweet them to the Collider Video Twitter account right now. Wendy's going to look for some good ones. Make them interesting and fun, please. And also, we have mailbag coming up. But first, a whole bunch of plugs for you. So get ready for this. Heroes, if you didn't know, it's now daily, so check out the episode that dropped yesterday. We also have a new episode dropping later today. On top of that, there was also a new episode of Jedi Council yesterday. We have another episode of Comic Book Shopping, which is just so insanely well done. Schnepp is doing a great job. Our whole behind-the-scenes team is doing such a great job with that show. Go watch the Tim Miller episode, which is up now. We also apparently have a contest where you can win a signed Dunkirk IMAX poster and prize pack. That poster apparently is signed by Christopher Nolan and cast. I might get to that before you could even try to win it, but if you want to try to win it, we have a link to where you can make that happen in the show notes of this episode. We also have a new Schmoedown coming later today. It is against JTE playing the Pit Boss. That's Ken Knapsack. Oh, I'm excited for that. And then we have a brand new episode of Awesome-tacular, which is coming out today. Again, check the show notes for that episode. Oh my God, that was a lot. I hope you have time to watch it all, because really, I love all of our content. But right now, it's time for mailbag. Sinead, what is in the mailbag today?
Andy writes, "Hey gang, I recently read that the TIFF lineup was announced. So I'm just making that up. So simple question: what are you most excited to see at the festival? Thanks and keep doing what you're doing. You rock."
I am so happy to talk about a film festival right now. I don't know who's got one that they want to shout out first.
I'm looking forward to seeing Darren Aronofsky's Mother.
Yeah.
Because you have Jennifer Lawrence, Javier Bardem, Ed Harris, Michelle Pfeiffer. I like to say Donald Gleason. Donald Gleason's in there. Yeah.
Donald.
Oh, it's Donald. It's not Donald.
Donald
Oh,
Gleason.
man. Yeah, it's got a great cast, and I like Darren Aronofsky, so I'm excited to see that one.
Clarke, I'm going to go to you next.
I won't be there, but I mean, I want to see it. But I'm not going to be there.
Well,
I feel like I know.
All right.
I know.
I mean,
Say it.
Okay. The Shape of Water.
Yeah.
There it
Guillermo
is.
del Toro.
Yeah.
Of course. We love Guillermo. But in addition to that, I'm really excited to see Mary Shelley, which is Elle Fanning as Mary Shelley, but it sort of dives into her relationship with her husband. And there's an untitled Bryan Cranston Kevin Hart movie. So basically,
What a
but
cast,
it
yeah.
actually is very interesting. So it's a remake of a French film called The Untouchables, and Cranston plays a quadriplegic, and Kevin Hart is his caretaker. So it's a drama, but those two are I'm endlessly impressed with both of them always, and I love the idea that they're getting to do something together because they seem like unlikely foils, but then when you think about it, they actually seem like a wonderful combination. So those are the ones.
They're
that
both
I'm-
funny too.
Oh yeah,
And Cranston's hilarious.
absolutely,
Yeah.
And that Source film is a fantastic French film.
Okay.
Omar Sy plays the Kevin Hart part, and it's if you haven't seen this, go watch it. It's one of the best French films I've ever seen.
All right, Rocha, what you got for me?
I've got a few. I've got Battle of the Sexes because I'm a huge sports
totally.
guy.
Yep.
I want to see that one. I, Tonya, where Margot Robbie is playing Tonya Harding. Holy crap, I would love to see that. The Darkest Hour, the Gary Oldman one where he's playing Winston Churchill. I can't even tell you the level to which I'm looking forward to seeing that film. And Disobedience looks interesting. It stars two of my favorite Rachels, Rachel McAdams and Rachel Weisz. So I'd like to see them together. And of course, what Clarke said, Shape of Water. I have not been this excited for a Guillermo del Toro film since Pan's Labyrinth, so I'm like crazy excited. And Sally Hawkins I absolutely love. And this one, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, the one with Frances McDormand, where she's trying to force the cops to find out what happened to her daughter. Mother effer, that film is going to blow the doors off my mind, and I'm going to go crazy sitting in a theater. So to me, if I was going to tip like David, if we were going on a trip to go to this thing, I would absolutely want to see those films. Yeah.
I'm so happy I came up with a really long list.
I was
of
about to say,
options
did we
because-
leave anything
You
left
did,
for
you
you?
did. You left two. I was eliminating as you guys were all talking. The two that I have left are David Gordon Green's Stronger,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that one. And I think that that's one that right now is in the Oscar conversation, which obviously could change when it finally screens. That's when we're going to get a better idea of if it really does have award season potential. But there's so many elements of that movie that I'm really excited about, one of which is the fact that Tatiana Maslany looks like she really could finally. It's not fair that Orphan Black,
It really is.
as good as she is in it, and it's just not that popular to kind of cross that line and really catapult her into the stardom that she deserves. And even though I love Felicity Jones in Rogue One, it almost makes me wish that she got that role just so she can have that level of clout too. But I think it's coming. This movie could do it for her. And then the other one is actually something that premiered at Sundance to rave reviews, someone I'm really excited about. Director DeVries' movie, Mudbound. She directed Pariah. If you have not seen her first feature film, Pariah, go watch that. It's going to make you hype for Mudbound. Mudbound is supposed to be fantastic. So those are the ones I have my eye on. I don't know if I'm going to tip either. I would love to go. I went one year and it was a great time. I was telling Clarke that midnight lineup is always awesome. Anybody who sits in the Ryerson the entire time you're there for that festival, it's one of those great communal experiences where you can't watch that movie any other way after because everyone feels like a big family and everyone's so vocal. It's a great festival. If you ever have a chance to go, please do. That's it for today's mailbag. If you want one of your questions answered on an episode of Movie Talk, we also have our 2 weekend mailbag shows. Send them on over to collidervideo@gmail.com. Again, I will echo different questions. We love talking about Star Wars, Marvel, DC, all that good stuff, but inventive questions, things that are about stuff we don't get to talk about all the time, please send them on over and we will pick them for one of our shows. Right now, though, it's time for your live Twitter questions. Wendy, what do you have for us?
The first one comes from Jack Hallett, who writes, because it dropped right before Comic-Con, we haven't heard your thoughts on Del Toro's Shape of Water trailer, so thoughts?
What a perfect thing to talk
So
about right
good.
now. Clarke, do you want to take the first
Sure,
one?
I'll start. So I was in, I forget what movie I was seeing. Oh, Planet of the Apes. And it played. And the thing that I noticed first was that it said rated R for strong violence, strong sexual situations and language. And I was like, interesting. What could this be? And then here is this trailer that is so artistic and beautiful. And I think, like you said, Rocha, it really harkens back to Guillermo and his more independent sensibilities, whether it's Pan's Labyrinth, The Devil's Backbone, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that this is a movie that is not going to crush the box office, and that's okay. I think the studio knows what they made when they made the movie. And we had Doug Jones in here at the beginning of the year talking about Bye Bye Man, and he gave us some insight into his character and what he was going to be doing. And he said, from his words to to the Oscars' ears, he said if they aren't singing Academy Award, if he's not getting, meaning Guillermo isn't getting Academy Awards recognition, then he will be shocked. And I hope he's right.
Yeah, I hope he's right too. I mean, I really want Del Toro to get back to a place that's similar to Pan's Labyrinth, where we're talking about him in that respect, because I love Pac Rim, but he is a director that has the ability to make Oscar-worthy movies, and this could be one. With it premiering at TIFF, with it getting the release it's getting, everything is kind of falling into place to suggest that this could have a big award season run. And this trailer was beautiful. It is just so nice to see something that feels so creative and like deeply personal too. Even from the trailer alone, you could tell that it's not just about, the world and this crazy character that he created. It's about them as individuals and as people, no matter what type of creature they are. And Sally Hawkins, I mean, speaking of Tatiana Maslany, Sally Hawkins is another name that more people need to know. She is incredible in everything I've ever seen her in, and it looks like the same is going to be true here. Rocha, how are you feeling about this?
I don't know if I can add much more to what you guys said. Honestly, I discovered Sally in Me and You and Everyone We Know, or something like that film that she did a little while when she first burst onto the scene. And she shows up in Jasmine Blue. She shows up, or Blue Jasmine rather. She shows up in these films, and when she shows up, she's always solid, and you can easily attach yourself to her and her vulnerability and her strength, her steel underneath that vulnerability. And you see that in this trailer. So for me, the design and everything, it just looks like a love story. It looks like a love story.
It is.
Amidst,
That's what he said.
Right? Okay.
Doug
amidst
said,
this Gothic kind of horror type approach. So I couldn't be more excited, especially after having seen him here live. Like, he just, my heart is so huge for him. I can't even, I'm going to start crying.
We could all tell.
Yeah, no, I mean, I want to see this. I mean, Guillermo's the master at doing this, of at least a film of magic realism. I mean, he always sets it, I mean, you have Devil's Backbone, you have Pan's Labyrinth during World War II. I mean, there's always these real life events happening. There's something magical and extraordinary happening in a small part of the world, and he's so good at doing that. So I'm on board. I'd buy this.
And let's not forget about Michael Shannon.
Michael he's a man. Yeah,
who else has been waiting for the Guillermo del Toro Michael Shannon collaboration? Because I have. And the fact that he's playing a villain. What I think is interesting is when Doug came in, a lot of us were thinking that, okay, perhaps Michael Shannon would be playing the romantic lead or something like that. And then we find out, no. Doug and his Fishman are the romantic lead, and Michael Shannon is this sinister villain. I'm so excited to see him.
One question, though. What would you say to people who are looking at Shape of Water right now and they're like, oh, connection to Hellboy? Because I've been hearing it a lot.
Yeah, it's not. And Guillermo has said it, and it's been on. I mean, it's not. He's like, nah, no. I mean,
the character looks different enough. I mean, I get the one guy from Hellboy, but he looks different enough.
And Doug can't play everybody.
Yeah,
you can't play all the people in the Hellboy universe.
That's true.
I'm pretty sure Doug could if he tried.
Well, I mean, you know how it is.
All right, let's get another Twitter question, Wendy.
All right, this one comes from Brandon Reed, who writes, Patty Jenkins is doing a TNT show with Chris Pine. Is this a good move after Wonder Woman?
I think it's a good move. I mean, really, I think she could make any move she wants, and I imagine that she's someone who is really thinking about what projects she takes, and if this is what she decided, I trust that it's the right choice and that the material is rich enough that she feels she can bring something to it. So I think it's a great idea. David, what do you think?
TNT's at one network. I mean, they're not hurting. They have NBA and other things going on for them, but they haven't had that one show that's kind of crossed over. Like even USA, Sunglasses and Smiles has had Mr. Robot, which is like this big hit. TNT has Claws that got renewed for a second season. They don't have that crossover hit that like people are like, oh, I'm going to watch TNT. Like I don't think I record anything on TNT unless I'm watching the NBA.
I'm absolutely down because, I know people talk about what David Mackenzie did with Chris Pine in Hell or High Water. Patty Jenkins did even more for him in Wonder Woman. She really brought out his sweetness that you see with Chris, and also his resolve, his determination. I mean, that scene at the end, which I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it yet. My God, why haven't you? And that scene when he's explaining his dad, like this connection to his father. Those are really powerful moments that you could come off maudlin or cheesy, and she really knew how to direct him into that spot. And so anything they're doing together, I'll absolutely watch.
You know what's great too, real quick, sorry, is that the actors in TV and film now in America are finally realizing that it's the same.
Yep.
I mean, I realize budgets are different, but I mean, in Britain, they don't have that issue. I mean, in the UK, Cumberbatch doesn't need any more money. Martin Freeman doesn't need money, but they want to come back and do another season of Sherlock because they love doing the project. Right. And finally in the States, after McConaughey and all those guys did True Detective, we're getting that now. All these actors are just crossing over because it's great material in both places.
Well, and what I was going to say is that let's not forget, I pulled it up here, after Monster, Patty Jenkins directed television. Arrested Development, Entourage, The Killing, Betrayal, Exposed. I mean, Patty Jenkins knows her way around television. And so I think that if that's a medium, I think you can only work in that as a director for like 7 years or however long she was after Monster working as a TV director, and you get some ideas, and you go, you know, if I had my own show, this is what I would do, or here's how I would do it, and so it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Wendy, can I get one more Twitter question?
You sure can. So this one comes from Tyler McLaughlin, who writes, if Atomic Blonde does well at the box office, could it be the start of another action trilogy like John Wick?
Oh boy, who's seen Atomic Blonde?
Please, I would love. No, I haven't seen it, but if this is good.
Oh, I'm the only one who's seen it.
Oh.
That's all
We're
good
the
because
only
I
two
didn't
that's
love
seen it.
What?
We're the only two that's seen it.
Oh, okay. Well, Wendy, in that case, what do you think about this?
I mean, embargo's lifted, right?
Yeah, there's,
okay.
It's up.
So I love Charlize, and I think she's phenomenal in this movie as well as all the other movies that she's been in. However, this movie was not what I thought it was going to be. I felt like the trailer was like lying to me, and I thought it was really messy, to be honest with you. I lost interest pretty quickly. There was there was one great action piece that everybody's been talking about, so I won't give that away. That is phenomenal. If the movie was like that one action piece, yes, I would be down for a trilogy. But as of right now, I'm really not interested in seeing any more.
Yeah, I have to say I'm kind of in the same boat a little. I was really looking forward to this, and the action is incredible. She is incredible. David Leitch's work as a director is incredible. It's the story that fell a little short for me. I had a very difficult time following the details and caring about the details, which I think was the bigger problem there. But thinking about its box office potential, I do think it's going to do pretty well. I feel like it's going to get, 22 million plus, which is a nice start. And if this movie has long enough legs where we're talking about the possibility of getting more movies because this one made so much money, I do think this character is worth more films. Just because I didn't like the story she was featured in now does not mean I don't like that character at all. And she's got stories to tell, there's no doubt. So if this movie is well received, even though I didn't love it, I would be open to more. What do you guys think so far, having not seen it yet?
Well, I'm super excited. I've been, she's been doing a lot of interviews, and I saw her at Comic-Con do her interview in Hall H. So this makes me sound, but I am hearing, and I heard this from the festivals, that it was an uneven film, that she was great, but the film itself was a bit muddled. So it does worry me, but we saw with Annabelle Creation, they did do a sequel to a film that was not received that well. So maybe they fixed a little bit of the stuff that might have been wrong.
No, Annabelle's getting a lot of good buzz.
Yeah, Annabelle Creation is getting all this buzz. So it could follow that kind of pattern where, yes, it makes enough that it would warrant the conversation of a sequel, and then a little more time and attention and detail given to the plot and given to straightening things out a little bit more and really accentuating what works about the original film. So I would love to.
Yeah, I mean, I think Charlize is the baddest actress on the planet. I mean, she can play anything. I mean, I feel like she's tough, and she's gorgeous, but she can be vulnerable. Like it's tough for any. It doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl. It's just tough to display all those emotions at once. I think she does it better than anybody. So I'm going to see it just for that fact. If it's not good, then that's too bad. But maybe, like Rocha said, we'll get another one because it makes enough money, and they'll do a better job next time.
What about you, Clarke? Into seeing it?
I mean, I could take it or leave it, but money talks. So at the end of the day, I think we're all about franchises. So if this one makes money, I think it's probably a safe bet that there will be more.
Yep, I think that's a good bet to make.
Could there be a Wick Atomic Blonde?
Yeah,
universe,
crossover.
Well, they're talking about that
Leach?
shared universe. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, see it for yourself and then answer that question.
Shut that down.
Yeah, that's all the time we have today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Before we close out the show, I want to thank the guys behind the scenes. We've got Cody and Adam back there. You guys are the best. I want to start with the one and only D. Griff, because he's first in my heart. David Griffin, where can everybody find you on the internet? I'm sorry, Rocha.
Wait a minute,
No,
what?
I did someone else.
I've done so much work for you. All right, go ahead.
So on Monday, TV Talk is going live. We're going live daily. You can find Sinead, DeVries, myself, Josh McCouga, and Emma on Monday's show. We're going to be covering like Game of Thrones, and every other day it'll be like a 2-person panel. So make sure you tune in live for TV Talk on Monday.
And now to the guy who will be #1 in my heart again when he actually invites me on a hike.
That's
John
true.
Rocha.
I'm
Where
sorry.
can everyone
I'm
find
sorry.
you?
You guys can always find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. New Cinephiles dropped this morning. The Cinephiles on iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube. We do the Dirty Dozen. New Outlaw Nation podcast dropped yesterday where I talk about my Comic-Con experience and my first stand-up experience ever with Mark Ellis. And I'm starting to write columns now over the last 2 weeks for the trackingboard.com, tracking-board.com. I'm on there. And the Top 10 Show. Every Tuesday morning on the SK Plus podcast channel, come listen to Matt Nost and I back in our glorious original form talking about the top 10 films.
And now to someone who I've actually been on a hike with, Clarke.
Where can everybody find you? You can find me hiking with Perri at Clarke Wolfe, Clarke with an E, Wolfe with an E, and a lot of you guys are following the schmoes on the Stardust app where we're doing short reviews, movies, TV, trailers, whatever. I am on there now, so please look me up on the Stardust app, download it. It's a free download. It's a super fun app. I really like it. So you can find me at Clarke Wolfe, Clarke with an E, Wolfe with an E.
And Sinead.
I haven't been on a hike with any of you because I don't hike. Also, really quick, I was at Comic-Con and I hear, "Oh my God, Sinead, I love you. I'm your biggest fan." And I look up and it's Rocha, and literally like laughing his ass off, walking away from me. But I was just like, "What is happening? Oh my, I love you so much." And
You're
he's
the
literally like,
greatest.
anyways, that's my story. What David said, we are on going live daily on TV Talk next week. So I'll be on TV Talk Monday and Friday, and then I will also be on Movie Talk next Friday.
And Wendy.
You can find me on YouTube at the Movie Couple channel, at Wendy Lee Zaney on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and of course, Monday through Friday here on Movie Talk, handling all of your Twitter questions.
And you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nemiroff. Check out tomorrow's Collider behind the scenes and bloopers. It is all about our adventures at Comic-Con. If you want to get a look behind the scenes, what it took to actually make all that content we put on the channel, that's the place to go to see that. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Have a great weekend. See you on Monday.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.